So we also need to remember that the first milk our body makes is a little amount of milk. Now, if I told you that you only need to feed your baby a spoonful of milk, a lot of people are worried. And that's because the world around us is focused on selling a product to a mother that she doesn't necessarily need. So it's important to know that the stomach is a muscle. Okay, the stomach has never been used before. This is their first time they've ever eaten. Your baby's belly is essentially the size of a marble. It's the size of a grape. It's about this big. Now, the first milk that comes out of the breast is thick and it is yellow and it moves like slow molasses. So, a spoonful of milk helps your baby learn how to suck, how to swallow, and how to breathe without being overwhelmed. If it's a really hot day and someone hands you a cup and you're just chugging it, you might spur and get it everywhere because it's not what you need. Versus if someone hands you a cup of a smoothie, you have to take your time and drink it slowly. Just one spoonful of colostrum has over 100,000 separate ingredients in it. Your milk is constantly evolving and changing based off of what your baby's body tells it needs. There are 54 ingredients in a standard formula, so it's important to know there's nothing wrong with convenience food, but being able to make it separate and change it to whatever you need is also like the absolute best. So that first little bit of milk, if they told you to, oh, your baby can't latch, first of all, we just need to change the position. We need to figure out how to get our baby comfortable in our arms where we can let it happen. Which is important because when people want to feed their babies like this, they forget that if baby's head is in our elbow, their head might be turned a little bit. It's harder to swallow when your head is turned. If your head is turned and turned down, if your head is turned and lifted up, because even though everything is a straight line, it's kind of pinched here. So we want everything to be in a straight line, head on, which is why laid back breastfeeding is great, which is why football hold is great. Everything is in a straight line. You can move this bad mamma jamma around. This is a good position when you get comfortable, when your baby knows how to open their mouth, when you have everything in alignment. Babies, again, goldfish brain. We are helping them create their ridges and lumps in their brain. We cannot teach them too many things at once because then they're like, oh, I forgot. And you have to start all over again. It's really good and important to remember that breastfed babies gain weight differently than their formula-fed counterparts. In formula, fats is the fourth ingredient, and there's 5 different types of fats. So your baby will gain weight faster. In breast milk, your milk changes according to where your baby is in development. Fats is all the way down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subgroups even before you get to the fats. So everything in breast milk is bioavailable, meaning it is designed by your body to be absorbed by your baby's body to be eaten. As your baby grows, your milk supply will match it. Babies go through something called cluster feedings, where when they're first born, they eat a few times and they sleep a lot because labor was just as intense for them as it was for you. On day 3 or 4, you will have engorgement. Engorgement is a biological response to childbirth. Engorgement happens to everyone who delivers a baby, irregardless on if they are latching and breastfeeding their baby, pumping for their baby, or not using their milk that their body has made. What's important about engorgement is historically women would say their milk came in. What we know now is you have milk at 20 weeks into your pregnancy. What's really happening is it's coming to volume because your baby's belly has quadrupled in size. So we have to match that. The more you feed your baby, the more you match their need, the more you're like, oh, they're smacking their lips, that's a hunger cue. Touch their cheek, that's a hunger cue. Them bringing their hands to their mouth, that's a hunger cue. If every time you see a hunger cue for your baby and you are offering the breast and they eat, they are going to slowly get their belly to where it needs to be. Putting 1.5 to 2 ounces in a tiny little belly that is not big enough to hold that at 3 days per feeding, you're going to have a very sad and upset baby, because once some comes in, it's either going to be spit out and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, something is wrong with what I'm feeding them, or they're going to be miserable because they've kind of worn tight pants to grandma's house when they should have wore their elastic waistbands. So we can do these things. It's important for us to remember that just because we can't see how much milk is in there, that we have milk. Our body will make milk as often as we remove it. So the more you latch your baby, the more you take a time for that feed, the more your baby is going to eat. It's also important to remember that when you have engorgement, even though it's a biological response, we don't want you to be in pain. Nobody wants to be in pain. Your entire body has gone through an amazing experience, but you're going to be sore and tender. Engorgement, they're literally going to have a mind of their own. You're going to be able to tell that someone in the other room is even thinking about your boobs because, oh my gosh, I know you're thinking about them, you better stop. Don't even look at them. I can tell you're looking at them because they're so sore. They are like bigger than they've ever been. They walk into a room before you do. When you have engorgement, we need to manage that, because if engorgement gets too bad, your nipple can actually be so stretched that it's flattened. First thing we do to help engorgement is we want to warm the breast. Take a warm shower. Put a warm, wet washcloth on the breast. Warmth will help everything move. From there, we want to pet the breast like it's a cat. Pretend like the breast is a clock. 12, 1, 2, 3, all the way around. We want to go by at least 2 times. From there, if we are trying to latch our baby, we are going to take 2 fingers and gently press back around our nipple on our areola. This is going to push all that excess fluid back into the breast so the baby can latch. When you have engorgement, I found a lot of my clients like feeding in a football position. Baby's hips, shoulders, and ear in a straight line. But you can help hold this girl up. You're going to help baby's face. You're going to help nose to nipple. Baby gets a good deep latch. And because you are engorged, this is going to be helpful because you can still see baby's face and you can help guide things along. Engorgement will continue every day for about a month. And then one day you're going to wake up at about 1 month postpartum and all of a sudden they're soft and squishy again. And you'll be like, oh my God, my milk supply. You still have milk. Your body has just learned how to regulate how much your baby needs to eat. And that's important to remember, is our bodies will make whatever we are telling it to make. The more we remove it, the more it makes. But it's also learning your baby's feeding habits. And it's so, so important to make sure that we let your baby tell your body what it needs to do and not do the opposite.